Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Looney, and today we're going over the most dangerous investing takes people still follow. And honestly, these takes I've actually seen have ruined more portfolios than any market crash we've seen. So these are some myths that sound smart, but once you understand how the market really works, you'll realize they can actually destroy your long-term results. Before we get into this video, quick shout out to the Discord. It is free to join, and I also offer a premium membership for $8 a month, and you get access to one-on-one coaching, trade callouts. I have an option selling course. I do giveaways and more. You can check it out. All the links are down below, and I also have a referral link to Moomoo if you want to check that out as well. So the first myth, and that is just buy the dip. It always recovers. And this one you always hear. It's everywhere. People see a chart go down and they immediately say, don't worry, just buy the dip. It will always bounce. And here's the harsh truth, is not every stock recovers. Some stocks just dip and dipping and never come back. And these are sort of the hype plays that went to zero and they just closed. They closed to zero. So one we could look at is TTCF. I don't know if it's actually listed here. I don't believe so. Some of these ones that I'm actually looking up are not even listed, and that's how poorly they've actually done. And I could give an example of my own portfolio because I'm not flawless in my own. And we could look at a stock like Mara, right? Mara for the past year has been seeing very significant drops. Even the max chart has seen a lot of pain, and we're just seeing that dip. And if you bought the dip, you would still probably be down. And I own Mara, and luckily I'm not using too much of my portfolio, and I am actually selling options, so I'm generating income. But at the same time, I'm not going all in. This is kind of the stock where it can keep dipping, and it's unfortunate. There are some bag holders with this stock, including myself. I mean, I wouldn't even consider them bag holding because at this point I've generated so much income from selling options that I basically own these shares for free. And I could show you guys that in another video, but I've generated enough income from the premiums from selling options that I basically have owned these shares for $0. So this is a dangerous mentality to just keep buying the dip. And yes, I am using selling options to get out of this situation, but it is very dangerous to just blindly buy the dip. And it actually creates an emotional trap. We can even look at like altcoins are kind of similar to that mentality where they keep just going down and down and down. And can they recover? Of course. Will they recover? I don't know. It really just comes down to your risk tolerance, your position sizing, because if you do want the stock to come back or the position to come back, and you do believe it will come back, you got to make sure you're not positioning too big, because when you do that, you kind of get in a tougher situation. So these are some examples. I have some altcoins that are down pretty significant, and I am buying them, but again, they're not big positions of my portfolio. So even if you start averaging down, you got to make sure you research the company. That's very important. You got to do your own research. And unfortunately, if you keep buying the dip on a stock you don't even know about, you just keep buying because you already bought before. And then before you even know it, you kind of sunk half your portfolio into something that isn't even worth owning. So I would actually flip it. I would say, don't just buy dips. And this is not financial advice. This is just my personal opinion, and this is my journey. And I would say buy quality. Buy quality stocks, or you can sell puts. You can sell puts at levels you're truly comfortable. You could trade the stock rather than owning. But there's some stocks that you'd rather own, not trade. I saw somewhere on the internet or on X that someone talked about NVIDIA. That's a stock you want to own and not trade. So for quality stocks, you want to buy them. For low quality stocks, if you really can have the risk tolerance, would be to trade them. So myth number 2 is if you hold long enough, you can't lose. And this one kind of goes back to the first point, but it's kind of scary because it's partially true, which makes it dangerous. Yes, holding strong companies long-term works, but also holding bad companies long-term is how people stay down very long. They stay down 70% for a long time. And a stock dropping doesn't automatically mean it's undervalued. Sometimes it means the business is getting worse, heavily diluting, or simply dying. And I like bringing up Mara because they do dilution, and they might be shifting their company. I didn't fully give up on them, but it is a good example of them slowly getting worse, right? But if you buy a hype stock, I could even use something like Beyond Meat, for example. And I own Beyond Meat as well, but I bought it at very cheap price levels. So let me actually pull that one up. And if we look at like the 5-year chart, we can see how significant this stock has dropped. So this stock could be bleeding for years, and holding at this point isn't conviction. It's truly just denial. And the emotional trap here is people don't want to admit they've made a bad decision. So they end up just holding forever because it feels easier than just cutting losses. But being consistent isn't about holding everything. It's about sticking to your plan and being willing to admit when the thesis changed. So I'm showing Beyond Meat, and I own Beyond Meat. I think this is a good example because, again, small position sizing. I'm selling covered calls to generate income as well. Now, this stock is not beginner level, or this stock's not even for a lot of people. This is strictly a hype play. So I want to show example. It is in my portfolio. This is not financial advice, but I did want to show example where you can be caught in a position where you're down a significant amount for a long period of time. Now, myth number 3 is pretty interesting, is you have to time the bottom to get rich. So I talked about the hype stocks, but this is more going into the quality positions because everyone loves the idea of buying the exact bottom. And the reality is you will never time the bottom consistently. Nobody is able to time it perfectly, no matter what technical analysis you look at, maybe even some insider information. No one really knows because this myth ends up keeps people sitting on the sidelines for months waiting for the perfect moment. And then when the stock finally runs, they panic buy at the top because of FOMO. And this creates emotional roller coaster and just overall bad results. And I actually had someone in my membership that was talking about Webull, for example. They were waiting for Webull to hit a certain level before they got in. And I was explaining to them that if you believe in the company, it shouldn't necessarily matter waiting to hit that price level. If you have conviction in it, if you did your research and you believe in it, and why not buy it at discounted prices? That's opportunity in my eyes. So some people, they think they could time it perfectly, and you truly can. A lot of these support levels, these resistance levels, they are there. Yes, they do work, but not all the time. They're not flawless. And that's why I don't try to time things. I think consistency beats timing. I think dollar cost averaging works, and just having an overall process works. I personally think buying the bottom is almost not possible all the time. It is possible, but it's almost impossible to do that all the time. I could show you an example that I was sort of able to buy the bottom, and again, I didn't even time it perfectly, and that is SoFi. So I bought it back in April, and the bottom was under 10. Now, at this point, most people were saying it was going to $7, going to $6, but I believed in the company. I did my research, and I bought it at a little bit higher, at $11. And I didn't wait. I didn't wait for it to go up. I simply just bought it at a price that I was comfortable owning it at. Now, myth number 4 is diversify. Diversify into a bunch of different positions. And this is a very common one because diversification doesn't mean buying 20 random tickers because someone online mentioned them. That's not diversification. That's just chaos. And when you have too many positions, you often have no conviction, no control, and no understanding of what you actually own. You basically created your own sloppy index fund without any of the benefits. True diversification is intentional. You need to know why you own each stock, what role it plays in your portfolio. And having that emotional control also means not grabbing random stocks just because they look cheap. And I'm not innocent to this. I've definitely been in this scenario. Some of these stocks are short term, right? So, for example, my core positions are Riot. It is Mara as well, SoFi, Hims, Hood. These are my core positions. These are ones that I plan to hold for a long period of time. Now, these other stocks are really just trades. I look to sell at a certain price. I look to buy at a certain price, and I'm using options to actually leverage this. And when we see more extreme conditions where the entire market is down, then I'll go more into my conviction plays. And I think having too much diversification is actually dangerous sometimes because all 4 of these myths, not only just diversification, but all these combined, they all lead to the same problem, and they push you into emotional decisions. And yeah, I do think your stock picks matter, and I think they matter a lot. You got to do your own research. You have to also pick your own strategy. Having your own strategy is also very important. And lastly, or not lastly, but another point is to truly understand your own goals. Because for some, you could tolerate the high risk, you're doing it just for fun or what you consider for fun, or for some of you, you're looking for long-term wealth. So you got to understand your own realization of what your plan is. And also just avoid dangerous advice. Or maybe not advice, but opinions, because a lot of stuff on the internet is not financial advice, but it is opinions, and they'll tell you to buy this stock, they'll tell you to sell this stock. I personally stay calm, and I think staying consistent matters way more. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.